y'all. I'm back. We're going to analyze another poem. So again, if you see me looking down like this, I'm looking at my cheat sheet that I have already done. So yeah, let's get started. This poem is kind of sad, kind of dark, but it's very powerful and moving. So let's jump right in. Let's start. So I'm going to first read it to you, then we're going to go through stanza by stanza and kind of break it down like we did in our last video. So, Do Not Go Gentle into That Good Night by Dylan Thomas. Do not go gentle into that good night. Old age should burn and rave at close of day. Rage, rage against the dying of the light. Though wise men at their end know dark is right, because their words had forked no lightning, they do not go gentle into that good night. Good men the last wave by, crying how bright their frail deeds might have danced in a green bay. Rage, rage against the dying of the light. While men who caught and sang the sun in flight, and learned too late they grieved it on its way, do not go gentle into that good night. Grave men near death, who see with blinding sight, blind eyes could blaze like meteors and be gay. Rage, rage against the dying of the light. And you, my father, there on the sad height, curse, bless me now with your fierce tears, I pray. Do not go gentle into that good night. Rage, rage against the dying of the light. So, as we can see, this is kind of a dark poem. It's about death. And we find out at the end of the poem that our poet's father is the one who is on his deathbed and who is getting ready to die. So let's go through this stanza by stanza. I've already added text boxes to the side, so hopefully I can figure out how to type in those. Yes, okay. So first, let's go through and we'll reread the stanza, and then we'll kind of pick out the literary elements that we learned about, like personification, metaphor, simile, those kinds of things. So stanza 1. Do not go gentle into that good night. Old age should burn and rave at close of day. Rage, rage against the dying of the light. So we know that this good night, okay, I'm going to highlight that, and the dying of the light is a metaphor for death. Okay, our author isn't saying that, it's as dark as night, nothing like that. It's comparing death to being night, to being the dying of the light, by saying it is that thing. So that makes it a metaphor. Okay. We also have, I'm going to try to highlight the beginning of this, but it's the whole line. Okay. This is repetition. Because we see that line repeated several times throughout our poem. So again, that's repetition. That line is repeated several times in our poem. So over here to the side, I'm going to open my text box and I'm going to try to type in here. And I'm going to say, don't give in to death. Okay? Fight against death. We'll put fight with an exclamation point. Okay? Because our author is saying, I don't want you to give in. I don't want you to just go towards the light. I want you to rage against the dying of that light. Don't let death overtake you. Fight against it. All right. It's going to look a little funny, but it's okay. You'll still be able to read it. And forgive me with this technology. Y'all know this is new to me. I use technology, but not like this. All right, second stanza. Though wise men at their end know dark is right, because their words had forked no lightning, they do not go gentle into that good night. So here our author is saying, even though they know they probably should, they don't. They don't go gently. They fight against death. So, in this line, this is also repetition, but we're not going to highlight it for that. We're going to highlight, let's see, we're going to do the N in not. Okay, let's do that in green. And the N in night. That's alliteration because you have that N sound. Do not go gentle into that. Good night. Okay, and then again, we have alliteration here. Oh, it's not doing what I wanted to do. We have alliteration here with our G sound. So let's make the G's red. Okay, so again, that's alliteration because you have that same sound multiple times in the line. Oh, shucks. There we go. Okay. Well, I did it on this one too. Lord have mercy. Y'all forgive me. Here we go. All right, that looks better. So over here to the side of my text box, I'm going to write that this stanza is about wise people know they should give in. But they don't. Okay, they don't give in to it. Some would argue that they don't give in because, that's human nature. You don't want to die, so you fight against it, even though you should probably just give in. I think a lot of people have reasons as to why they think that this author added that, okay? That's the thing about poetry. A lot of poetry is really left to interpretation. How you read it may be different than how I read it. So with poetry, you can really make it whatever you want. It's just, everybody has different life experiences, and you can kind of take away from it what you want to. All right, I'm rambling. I'm sorry. Stanza 3. Good men, the last wave by, crying how bright their frail deeds might have danced in a green bay. Rage, rage against the dying of the light. So again, that repetition that we talked about up here, I'm going to highlight that in that purple fuchsia color because it's saying that line again. It's the exact same. They didn't change it at all. This bright light, we can say, I'm going to highlight that in this blue color. That is an illusion. Okay, that's a reference to that famous bright light that people see when they're dying. Don't really know if they see a bright light, but in movies and books and TV shows, when somebody's lying, they can, when somebody's dying, they can see a bright light. That's just a well-known hypothesis, I guess you could say. So over here to the side, what I think this stanza is about, I'm going to look at my cheat sheet, is that lots of people do give in. A lot of people just give up and they don't fight against death. They kind of just give into it. Okay, but again, our author says, no, don't do that. Rage against it. Okay, change the size of my text box. Shucks. All right. So stanza 4. While men who caught and sang the sun in flight and learned too late they grieved it on its way, do not go gentle into that good night. So I'm going to highlight this one in this fuchsia color too because, again, that's repetition. We have that same line repeated and nothing has changed. Okay, it's different from the rage, rage line, but it is still the same repetition as this first sentence. Okay. So over here to the side, I think this stanza is that people understand things as they're dying. So maybe they look back on their life and they have regrets about things that they did, things that they didn't do, maybe the way they treated people. So they're starting to understand, they're starting to wise up, but really, for most people, it's too late and there's nothing that they can do about it. So I'm going to type people, people understand things as they are dying. Okay, you learn a lot when you're in that vulnerable position. And that's what our author is trying to get us to learn ahead of time. All right, stanza 5. Grave men near death, who see with blinding sight. Again, they have that knowledge. They're beginning to understand things in a clearer way. Blind eyes could blaze like meteors and be gay. So if they're not understanding, right, if you're not seeing your life in retrospect, you could just give in to death, and you could be kind of peaceful and happy about it. Rage against the dying of the light. So again, a lot of people find peace. They find this sense of happiness. But again, our author is telling us you shouldn't just give in to those feelings. You should fight. Okay? And here in the last stanza is where we learn why he wants this person to fight, or all people to fight. And we find out that this poem, he's speaking to his father. So his father is actually the one on his deathbed, and he's begging his father, please, please, please fight against this. Okay, rage against it. Don't give in. Do not go gently. All right, so, and you, my father, there on that sad height. That's not really what I wanted to do. Let's see. Let's make that a funkier color. My father. Okay, our dads are important to us, right? There on that sad height. So again, he's not literally standing on a height, but it's kind of like, here you are, you're in this situation, and it's sad. Curse, bless me now with your fierce tears, I pray. So cry, be passionate. Do not go gentle into that good night. Rage against the dying of the light. So it becomes a lot more personal to our poet. He's not just talking about anybody. He's not just talking about a random person. He is speaking directly to his father. And he really wants his father to fight against death and not go gently. So in this text box, I'm going to put, we'll say poet's father is dying, and poet, can't type, wants him to fight. All right. So it may just be me. I may just be like a literature nut, but I really love this poem. It has a lot of deep meaning. So if you have questions, if you don't understand any of it, if you think I'm just a crazy person who's way too into poetry, let me know. Comment on this. Shoot me an email. Either way. I'm also going to be posting a short, simple poem for you to try doing this by yourself. I'm going to already have inserted the text boxes, so all you have to do is double click on it and it'll open up, and then you kind of double click in the text box and you can type. Okay, so again, if you have questions, let me know, and be looking out for the next poem. Thanks, guys.